we've got a pretty good handle so far, it seems, on discovering the veins under the cover. 45 holes drilled in total so far. We've intersected vein in 44 of them. So the team's done a great job there. And now we're trying to really get a handle on, once you locate these veins, how do you target the mineralization within them?
Hello, welcome to Assay TV. Today, I'm delighted to be joined once again by CEO and Director of Astra Exploration, Brian Miller. Brian, great to see you today. Joining us, I see, from your project there, or is that a background?
Yeah, no, great to be back, Leo. Thanks for having me. And yeah, that's the beauty about working virtually now. You can be at the project in the field all the time. But yes, that is a backdrop of the project.
Absolutely. Last time we spoke, and I'd urge viewers to go back and look at that, we did a bit of an overview of the company, and you were about to get embarked on your phase 2 drilling program. Tell us a little bit about the extent of that program.
Yeah. So phase 2 drilling was an RC drilling program that we began in late July. We drilled about 4,000 meters of RC holes in 15 different holes. And this was following up the initial program that we did where we intersected some high-grade gold near surface, had a couple intersections of some mineralized shoots. And so this secondary program, this phase 2 program that we completed and just put the results out, was to follow up on that and extend mineralization and see what the extent of the vein was at depth and along strike, and then to hopefully discover some new veins as well.
And you just put out the results, which is great. So tell us a little bit some of the highlights there.
Some of the highlights, we did intersect a third shoot of mineralization, excuse me, in the Paciencia Oeste vein. So that was encouraging. We had hoped that we would see mineral extension of mineralization from the first 2 shoots, but with low sulphidation systems, we know that sometimes this isn't the case. They can be irregular ore shoots. So we didn't get everything that we wanted, but there's still some really encouraging results. That third mineralized shoot that we intersected, that's actually one of the deepest holes on the property and one of the deepest holes that we're aware of in the region. So, the vein structure had good continuity. It's got good thickness at depth, and we've got a good width of mineralization down there at that area. So that's quite favorable.
I mean, just to remind our viewers, the initial drilling that had been done on the program was on the project was very shallow, and you've gone a bit deeper this time, yeah?
Yeah, the phase 1 drill program that we did was largely aimed at verifying vein at surface or near surface. As you might recall, this area, like you see behind me here, there's very little to no evidence of vein at surface. It's all covered by a shallow gravel cover. And so the initial drill program was aimed at defining strike length. When we bought the property, we had about 300 to 400 meters of strike length of known vein. The first program, we extended that to about 1.4 kilometers. And then the second program we just finished up, we've extended that again to about 2.1 kilometers total strike length.
Excellent. And in terms of the grades that you're finding in some of these holes, any numbers you can give us?
Our best hole in this last program was about 9 meters width, and that was about 4.5 gram gold equivalent. And that's gold and silver, and it's primarily gold still. So, it is encouraging to see some of those grades over those wider intervals. And then, of course, there's some lower grades over wider intervals. But a wide mineralizing envelope in the structure seems to be fairly continuous and regular.
And this third shoot that you've discovered, is that still open at depth?
Yes, it's open in all directions. There was one hole that was drilled into it. The second shoot that's in the west vein is open along strike as well. So there are some open areas to continue to step out drilling to see if that mineralization continues to expand.
I noticed in your recent announcement, that you were making some comparisons to a nearby deposit, Faride. Tell us a little bit about some of the similarities there and why this excites you a bit.
Yeah, so Faride is, again, it's a low sulphidation epithermal precious metals mine. It's about 5 kilometers to the south, so it's very close. And we think that a lot of this, it's all interrelated. There's epithermal mineralization throughout the entire district. And of course, these epithermal systems are driven by some kind of intrusive event, which often is porphyry copper, which we happen to have two major copper mines right nearby, Spence and Sierra Gorda. So it's believed that this is all interrelated. Faride being an epithermal mine just between us and Spence, Sierra Gorda. It also seems to be lower in the system. It's more of a silver dominant mine, whereas what we're looking at up here at Pampa Pacienca seems to be more gold dominant so far. So there's a lot of information that's available from the workings at Faride, and that's actually been a really pivotal and important part of our geologic model that we're using to discover these veins. There's a lot of similarities between vein structures and strike, and now we're seeing similarities as far as mineralization within the veins as well.
Excellent. And so what are the next steps for the project?
Over the next few months, we'll be doing a pretty deep dive analysis into the data. We had 2 drill programs that were pretty close back to back. So a lot of desktop work to try to further understand what drives mineralization and to also better refine our drill targeting methods. We might end up doing some geophysics, some other ground studies as well. Like I said, we've got a pretty good handle so far, it seems, on discovering the veins under the cover. 45 holes drilled in total so far. We've intersected vein in 44 of them. So the team's done a great job there. And now we're trying to really get a handle on, once you locate these veins, how do you target the mineralization within them? So that's going to be a key focus. We will have to do some permitting for the next drill program on part of the claim block. So that will be an ongoing process. And, hopefully, I hate to give a date, but, we're looking at maybe after the first of the year doing a follow-up drill program.
Absolutely. And as you mentioned, I mean, it's all undercover there. So it's a patient process. But you got some supportive shareholders, yeah?
Yeah, it's, our shareholders is, one of the biggest parts of the story. So one thing we've been very fortunate with, we've got a solid group of backers, some well-known industry professionals. Dundee Goodman is a major backer of ours. It's been with us since we were a private company, as well as the guys at Agentis out of Vancouver, Michael Gray and Scott Speed. But this last financing we did in June, we attracted the investment of Michael Gentili, and he and also Peter Maroney came in as investors in this. And Peter, as you know, he's the executive chairman at Yamana, of course, El Peñon being a low sulphidation system as well, similarities with Pampa Pacienca. Really do have an A-list of some cornerstone shareholders in the company.
Fantastic. I mean, what do you think attracted these big hitters to your project?
It's, this is an early stage project. It's very early, but there's a lot of indications of a very large epithermal system. It's got every bit of marginal work that we did continued to support the thesis that there was a very large epithermal system that was completely concealed by cover and had never been explored. And, that's, like I said, it's early, but the scalability, the size potential for what could be here is definitely attracting some attention.
Excellent. And in terms of the sort of political situation in Chile, there was maybe some concerns earlier in the year, but how are you feeling about it?
Much better than we were at the beginning of the year. Yeah, I would say things have definitely improved. There was kind of a collective sigh of relief early in September with the constitutional referendum being voted down. It was the end results, as far as the support and lack thereof for that referendum, coincided very well with polls in the weeks leading up to it. So it was nice to see something that coincided well with the polls, and it was a very decisive decision. So that was nice to see. This administration that's there is, I think it definitely rattled some investors. People were rightly concerned with some of Borich's some of his assertions and plans for the economy and the mining sector in particular. And so it was nice to see that actually moderated once he got into office. And I think that's largely due that he had to work with Congressional Assembly, who are largely represented by people who are directly supported by the mining industry. So a lot of favorable developments compared to the beginning of the year. Still some uncertainties as far, just they are in power, they are the regime right now, but certainly is moderated, and Chile is definitely going to be a jurisdiction of interest. And I don't just say this is, hopefully this is the case. We've been talking to several major mining companies who are either developing projects in Chile or are ramping up their efforts and their exposure to exploration projects in Chile. So, this is definitely bolstered by the actions of major mining companies.
Excellent. So I'm wrapping up. Plans for the rest of the year, and what should investors be looking out for from Astra?
So for the rest of the year, like I said, there's going to be a lot of desktop work, a lot of analysis. So we'll always working on things in the background, but we will likely have a steady slate of news flow. And then, like I said, hopefully here after the first of the year, we'll have a better handle on timing as far as our next drill program.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for joining us this morning for this update on Astra Exploration. Brian Miller.
All right, very good. Thank you, Leo.
Thank you.